Alright, what is up everyone? It's your boy, King Natsuki here back at again with another new spanking Hot What If video. And today is something brand new and completely, and by completely I mean infinitely original. As in, I'm the first one in this reality or timeline that has done this. As, well, y'all might be wondering, what exactly is this? This is what if Deku was the reincarnation of the Snatcher. Now, for those who have no clue who the Snatcher is, play the game, aim a hat in time. Then come back here and watch this video. If you do not care about spoilers or anything like that, then please by all means watch. Now that we got that out of the way, let's begin. As we begin, as now just something to clear up here, there is another type of quirk. And there's a fourth type of quirk. As we know, there are things such as emitter quirks, mutation quirks, and I forgot the third one. But in this AU, there is a fourth type of quirk called a reincarnation quirk. They are extremely rare and quite unpredictable. As the thing about a reincarnation quirk is you can tell that this is a reincarnation quirk even if there still is the thing about the toe and about the pinky toe. And another reason why it's unpredictable is because, well, you can't exactly tell who the person is reincarnated after. As before, there has only been before there's only been one other reincarnation quirk. Now, of course, this was a weak reincarnation quirk, or basically it was a reincarnation of Sakura Haruno, which extremely weak in the Naruto universe, but that enhanced strength is actually helpful in the MHA universe. Because let's face it, Naruto and Sasuke, when they're not working together, can body any single person in the MHA universe. Seriously. And Sasuke can literally body everyone there without his Susanoo. With his eyes and everything, but no Susanoo. And seriously, Naruto and Sasuke would body everyone in the MHA universe. Mainly including Aizawa and All For One. But let's get back into the point. Into the video. Okay? So, yeah. Reincarnation quirks come in the form of, well, a sort of tinge in basically changes in features. Like, imagine one person's parent has red hair and the other person's parent has orange hair. The kid could be born with, well, green hair. Or if they were the incarnation of someone with green hair and different types of eyes. As this is kind of how it is with Deku. He is born with black hair with purple tips and eyes that are yellow and that are bright orangish yellow. But yeah. However, the eyes quickly flash back to and into a sort of normal black. As well. Deku's dad in this AU, Deku's dad is, well, not exactly a villain. I'm not a hero nor villain. Because, yes, I 1000% believe the theory that All For One is Deku's dad. So, in this AU, that theory will not be true, and his dad will be basically just a regular wealthy man. And in America. As Deku's mom would still be Inko. Oh, by the way, for those wondering of all sorts of ships, don't even begin typing. Because the ship is already Queen Vanessa's reincarnation. You have no idea who Queen Vanessa is, as I said before, or at least play the game. Or at least watch a playthrough of the game, okay? Then come back here. If you don't care about spoilers, then you're free to stay. As, well, Queen Vanessa, basically, just a little backstory on the Snatcher and Queen Vanessa. Queen Vanessa and the Snatcher were once a prince and princess. Of course, the Snatcher is the prince, and Queen Vanessa was the princess. However, something eventually would begin to change in the princess, as she would have awful changes in bursts in personality that she could not control, as something else was controlling her. Now, one day, she would basically be walking around happy as ever, and would see the Snatcher. I still have no idea what his actual name is. I think it's MJ. Well, again, I have no idea what his actual name is. Okay? Basically, Deku would walk. Because it's Deku's reincarnation, because Deku's reincarnation is Snatcher, I'm just gonna call him Deku. Okay? As Deku would basically, he would be talking with a girl who was not the princess. Now, because of this tiny misunderstanding, the princess lost all sense of reasoning for just a tiny second. However, this second was enough to let the thing that was trying to control her fully change her, as she turned into a terrifying creature of darkness and rage. As, well, the prince tried to calm her down, but her knights basically he blocked her, as she then ordered them to lock him in the dungeon for all of eternity, basically. His body would become purple and shadowy as he would die. But he would be cursed. As the Snatcher would then look like this, or the thing you see in the background. As Deku would be, just a average kid. He would grow up average, nice, or usually nice, until it was his 4th birthday. When Deku was 4 years old, he would be brought to the quirk doctor, as the doctor would examine Deku and would see the changes and would see the different changes in his DNA from his parents. As the doctor would then say, it appears your son has a reincarnation type quirk. Now, these types of quirks are very unexplainable and unexpected. However, they do come with certain bonuses. For one, since your child is the reincarnation of whatever being they or the reincarnation of, the quirk cannot be removed, erased, or copied, taken, or stolen, or anything like that. Now, stolen because, well, that'd basically be like ripping someone's soul out of their own body, and would basically be like tearing someone out of their own body, which would just be unexplainably impossible. Second, the turning off thing. You'd not be able to turn it off because the abilities do not exactly count as a quirk. They count as another form of power from the being that the person is reincarnated after. Third bonus, it cannot be copied, as those powers only come with the being that the child is reincarnated after, and that person is reincarnated after. So, yeah. It's extremely powerful and destructive. It cannot be destroyed either, and, well, basically, it changes over time. It will change the child's personality, and the person's personality, and, well, other things. As there's only been one ever recorded reincarnation quirk, so your son is quite literally a very, very, very rare find. So, and also because of this, we have no idea where to place your son in our list of quirks. As, well, what we think of as there are two theories of reincarnation quirks. A, they're all overpowered, or B, it's sort of a random factor. As the last reincarnation quirk had a enhanced sort of strength and the ability to heal creatures, such as a fish. As this enhanced strength was about 10 times stronger than All Might's strength. However, that person lived a bit back before the age of All Might. As he would then say, however, that was before we had the technology to at least see what is the main aspect of the reincarnation quirk. As Inko would then say, what do you mean, main aspect? As the doctor would then say, reincarnation quirks, as I explained, are very rare. And, well, they have a lot of very unexplainable abilities that could come with it. However, with today's technology, we have gained the ability to, and we basically have gained access to see what are the functions of the reincarnation quirk. As he'd then say, basically, the fundamental elements of the quirk's powers. As he would then say, hey, all we have to do is just scan your son's forehead. It should not be that hard. As he would then grab a sort of weird tablet x-ray machine and would place it over Deku's head and over Deku's forehead. As the machine, after 10 seconds, would basically ding like a school bell. As he would take the machine off of Deku's forehead and would place it into a far larger machine. As the machine, the tablet thing would then produce images or some sort of videoed feed of what was inside of Deku's head. As they saw shadows and darkness and then blue fire. As he then said, it appears your son's quirk, it appears the being your son is reincarnated after has the elemental foundations, and has the fundamental elements of darkness and fire. That's a very useful quirk. And well, as I said with other reincarnation quirks, they're quite unexpected. As the man would then walk away. And as he would then say, now you two can go. As when they got home, Inko would have been angered. As, well, when she heard that Deku had basically had darkness and pyrokinesis, she immediately thought demon, monster. As she basically would have packed all of Deku's things and would have thrown him outside. As Deku would have been thrown outside like normal, as he would try to survive on his own. As we skip to when Deku is 9, or 5 years later. Deku has been living on the streets, basically not exactly stealing or being bad. More such, he does jobs of all sorts that aren't illegal. He does not do murdering jobs, thievery. Basically, he does things such as house cleaning, pet sitting, house sitting, cleaning, construction work. He basically does a whole bunch of different legal jobs. As Deku, basically, he's bought himself a tiny little, and he basically has made himself a tiny house. As he's basically just walking around, and as he's basically just, having a good day. As then, suddenly, his eyes begin to glow, that yellowish orange, and that orangish yellow I told you about. Basically, his eyes glow this color. His eyes glow the color of the eyes and mouth you see right there. As Deku would then say, "Who are you?" Sorry. No, he would not say that, sorry. As Deku would basically then begin glowing. As from his very hands, blue fire would appear. As it would then scorch down his entire house. As he would then say, "Ugh, darn it. That's the 3rd time this week. Ugh, and that's the 3rd time in 4 days. Guess I have to go look for more building materials." As Deku would then walk outside. As he would then see a hero with a sort of... he'd then see a hero with all black clothing and a scarf that was so strong it was like metal. However, it still has the flexibility of a sash or scarf. As the man would have black hair and red eyes. As he'd then say, "Who are you?" As he basically would bump into this man. As the man would then say, "Who are you?" As he'd look down and see Deku. As Deku would then say, I'm Mizuku. Sorry, sir." As the man would then say, "Where are your parents, kid? You look like you're 9. you look like you're at least 9. So where's your parents? As Deku would then say, when I got my quirk, Mom took me home and threw me out. I don't know if she has any of my stuff left. I don't even know if she still lives where we used to. As he'd then say, and as Aizawa would then think, it must be some sort of dark related quirk. As he'd then say, so for his mother to throw him out like that. As Aizawa would then say, well then, kid, what is your quirk? As Deku would then say, the doctor told me it was a reincarnation quirk. And its fundamental aspects, and it has the fundamental aspects of fire and darkness. As Aizawa would then say, a reincarnation quirk? That's very rare. That means you have the potential to be stronger than All Might. As Deku would then look around confused, and look at Aizawa confused as he'd say, who's All Might? As Aizawa would then say, this kid doesn't know who All Might is? Poor kid. As Aizawa would then say, so what exactly are you doing? And what have you been doing since your mom kicked you out? As Deku would then say, doing jobs such as construction, cleaning others' houses, house sitting, and pet sitting, taking out the trash, all sorts of chores and jobs, just so I can get by. As Aizawa would then say, listen, kid, I can take you over to my house if you want. I got food cooking, and, well, other things. I got food cooking, I got a nice extra guest room that's open for the taking. I got a couch, a TV, those types of things. As Deku would then say, thank you, Mr. As Aizawa would then say, Eraserhead. Oh, Pro Hero Eraserhead. But you can just call me Shoto Aizawa. Pro Hero Eraserhead, aka Shoto Aizawa. But you can just call me Aizawa. As he would then say, okay, Aizawa. As Aizawa would then say, so, you coming? As Deku would then follow Aizawa back to his house. As Aizawa would have some chicken cooking. And in the oven, he would take it out and say, here you go, kid. Eat up. It looks like you haven't eaten, a week? As Deku would then say, 5 years. As Shoto Aizawa, and Aizawa basically would look at Deku and say, 5 years? How are you alive? As Deku would then say, I guess that's another thing about reincarnation quirks. Because the person you're reincarnated after is already dead. Basically, that means you're some sort of ghost. Or I guess I'm the reincarnation of some sort of ghost. Just my luck. Huh? As Aizawa would then think, poor kid. Hold on. As then Deku and Aizawa would basically slowly become friends, as Aizawa would eventually adopt Deku, along with, Shinzo. Shinzo and Deku are basically close brothers of sorts, as Shinzo constantly tries to test his... Basically, he keeps constantly trying to train his quirk work, as allow me to explain how he's training his quirk, and he's also training his, well, body. 50% of the time he's training his body, 50% of the time he's training his quirk. That's basically all of his training. As then he would, as you all might be wondering, wait, how is he training his quirk exactly? With Deku, of course. As one other thing I forgot to mention about reincarnation quirks, they cannot be, well, they cannot be, mind controlled. And the person with them cannot be mind controlled, rolled, or used, or basically, they cannot be, they're resistant to the fundamental elements that they control, and they're resistant to mind control, role, and other types of brainwashing techniques. The reason of this is because, well, there's basically like a sentient piece of life in their mind, which basically it's basically is just like a mental pop-up blocker that basically just denies all mind control based quirks. As this basically, as Shinzo basically keeps training his quirk against Deku, trying to find a way to use it on Deku. However, it never works. As Deku basically, as one day, Deku basically walks outside, having a normal-ish day, a normal-esque day. As, well, Deku basically, Deku is walking outside, just talking to people, playing with them, that type of thing. As he then, he sees this girl. Hold on. The girl basically looks like this, except, well, without a crown. As he then says, "Oh, hello." And she then says, "Hello, who are you?" As Deku then says, "I am Izuku Aizawa. You?" As she then says, "I am..." As she then says, I am Vanessa." As yes, I'm not changing her name. Hold on. Alright, sorry about that. As Vanessa would then say, "Hey, so what exactly is your quirk?" Sorry, I'm just a big fan of them, that's all. As Deku, being 10, and now would then say, "Oh, it's alright. My quirk is a reincarnation type." As she would then say, "What a coincidence! Mine's a reincarnation type too." As suddenly, as if it was an impulse, Deku's eyes would then glow the orangish yellow, as her eyes would then glow red with white circles, and with sort of white circles. Kind of like a Renegon, but with only 2 circles. One close to the pupil, and one far away from it. Okay? As then their eyes would turn back to normal. As he would then say, "So, what exactly are the fundamental elements of, and what exactly are the fundamental aspects of your quirk?" As she would then say, "Oh, darkness and ice." As he'd then say, "Huh, mine's darkness and fire." as suddenly Deku and her begin talking. As they're talking and talking and talking and talking and talking, and they become really close friends. Hold on. As Deku and her basically meet each other every day at this park. Now, one day, Deku is at the park and he sees her being bullied by Bakugo. Bakugo and his lackeys. As in this, what if Bakugo does know Deku has a quirk, but he thinks that reincarnation quirks, although rare, don't exactly count as quirks and they just make people freaks. As he then says, as stupid freak, your quirk is, you have no quirk. Like, stop lying. You're a freak. You're a freak. You're a freak. You're a freak. As he and his lackeys are punching her and beating her up. As she is shaking and this invisible aura of malice and of malice basically is just surrounding them. As right now, she's hiding most of it, trying not to get angry at them as she thinks that she can do nothing against them. As Deku walks over and sees this, as he then says, as he's basically shaking, and this time, he lets out malice and killing intent and bloodlust. But he hides none of it. Suddenly, all the kids except Bakugo, and all the 10-year-olds except Bakugo, fall flat on their knees and can barely breathe. As this is only 1% of Deku's malice, killing intent, and bloodlust. As well. Bakugo is still up because of his pure toxic emasculinity. Or his ego is too much. It will not let him fall down. As he then basically launches his strongest explosion at the time at, Vanessa. As this explosion is about the size of a car. And is about the size of a minivan. As he launches this explosion at her, and Deku sees that she now has some burn marks. As Deku then begins shaking even more violently as a black and purple aura, and as black and purple shadows then begin to surround Deku, as they are coming from the ground and swirling around Deku. Bakugo is thinking, what's the freak? Basically then says, what are you doing, freak? Stop it. It's creepy. As Deku, basically, he would not even speak. In fact, he would not even blink or open his mouth, as he's just standing at Bakugo with these clenched fists. It's just staring at him. And suddenly, Deku's entire eyes turn into a sort of bright demonic gold. As a crown made of shadows, and as a shadowy crown appears right in front on Deku's head, as then chains made of shadows and darkness appear on his hands and neck. As then Deku becomes about 10 feet tall, as he then transforms into this, as his legs basically they disappear. As he then says in a terrifying and malicious voice, Bakugo Katsuki. You listen to me and listen to me well. If I ever catch you doing something like that to Vanessa or anyone else, well then. As then Deku would begin shaking even more, as a blue fire would surround Deku, and Bakugo in the shape of a giant ring of fire, as he'd then say, I'll make you wish that you were never born, and I'll make all of your worst nightmares come true. I will kill you infinite amounts of times in your sleep and bring you back infinite amounts of times. I will I will rip into your very chest, grab your soul, and devour it for lunch. Do you understand? As Bakugo, now completely shaken in fear, and this fear would overcome his ego, would fall flat on the ground, not being able to move and barely being able to breathe, as he then said, Yes, yes. As Deku would then say, Good. As suddenly suddenly all of the darkness, chains and crown round then swirl away. His mouth then closes as his eyes turn back to normal. As his legs, as the ginormous sort of ghostly tail, then splits in half and shortens into legs, as then two more fingers form on each of his hands. As Deku now looks like this. This again, as he basically falls over, and Bakugo has already run away. As in this, what if Bakugo has a sister who basically saw the whole thing, who, as the sister, she'll not be in the ship whatsoever, and she will be an antagonist, or at least try to. As she would rush over to Deku in rage and begin kicking him, saying, Stupid freak, stupid freak, how dare you do that to my brother? As, well, this would be setting someone off. As Vanessa would basically have gotten up and would begin shaking the same as Deku. However, unlike Deku, her eyes would turn red and long, as the white circles and as the white rings would appear in her eyes. Her mouth would then open and become spiky, and a red aura would appear in it, as she would become 10 feet tall with long spiky claws, as spikes would then form around and out of her shoulders, as her two legs would then turn into a tail of sorts, as her body would then be surrounded in red and black darkness. As, well, ice, and as then crystallized ice would form around the two, and around the three, because Deku is unconscious. As she would then say, You dare. As she would then, and basically would look over at Deku, and at Bakugo's sister, and, well, she would then create a sword a scythe out of ice, as she would then as she would then dash at, well, Bakugo's sister, as Bakugo's sister would then dodge. As for plot, her name is Katsumi. Katsumi would dodge and try to escape. However, well, allow me to explain something like this. In the game, Queen Vanessa is more such a murderous, rampaging lunatic. Deku does not listen to any voice of rhyme nor reason. Basically, if she decides she cannot kill you, you're going to die. If she decides that she's angry at you, you are going to die. Do you understand the point here? As Katsumi would be trying to dodge her attacks, as Vanessa is basically in a enraged demonic state. As well, she's just charging and dashing at her, as she basically then uses a sort of form of shadow manipulation, as the shadows of the trees and everything else basically then become longer and like tendrils or chains, as the shadows then rise up, kind of like Shikamaru's special Kekkei, as the shadows basically begin chasing after Katsumi. As then Vanessa sees Deku waking up, as she then basically shrinks down to about 8 feet tall, as she then says, "Let's make this brief, Katsumi, Bakugo. If you dare look at Deku, you dare look at Izuku wrong, you die. You dare anger Deku, you die. You dare even think of calling him or me a freak, you die. Same goes for your brother. Understood?" As she would then say, yes. As she would then say, "Good. Now." As she would then basically have the shadows wrap around one of her arms, turning it into a ginormous red and black clawed arm, as she would then grab Katsumi and would throw her about maybe 30 feet away, into a tree, as she would then say, "Don't ever do that again." As then she would poof back into this innocent little form, as Deku would wake up and she would say, "Sorry about Bakugo hurting you. I wish I could have done something." As she basically in her mind is laughing and cackling like a crazed maniac. As well, Deku then says, "It's fine, I'm okay." As she then says, "Fine by me." As Vanessa then walks away and Deku goes home. Deku then explains how he got angry and he unlocked a sort of new form of his quirk. As Aizawa would then say, "New form?" Or Misei, "What exactly did it look like?" As he would then say, I think it was the being I'm reincarnated after. As he would then, Aizawa would then say, "Think about the exact same things that made you that angry." As Deku would then think of Vanessa being bullied and hurt, as the shadows would then begin to swarm around him. As Deku would then turn into this form, as Aizawa would then say, "Holy, it appears to you that this is the being you're reincarnated after. Huh, Zuko?" As Deku would then speak in a malicious voice, "Yeah, I guess." As Aizawa would then say, "That must also be his voice." Jeez, that's terrifying. As he would then say, what forms, and so if this form has basically changed your voice and your size, and, well, obviously, how you look, then does it give you any sort of bonus abilities? As Deku would then say, "I think," as he would then create a fire around him that he was controlling the temperature to where it would not burn anything or spread. As Deku would then begin manipulating shadows, as he'd then say, "It appears that my shadow manipulation and blue fire pyrokinesis are more efficient in this form." As Aizawa would then say, "Well, what other things does this form have?" As he would then say, "Well, let me see." As Deku would begin and trying to concentrate or do something, as suddenly out of nowhere, a rectangle made of blue flames would appear, as it would then poof into a piece of old paper, as it would be a contract. As Deku would then say, "It appears to be some sort of contract." And it appears to be some sort of contract. As Aizawa would then say, "A contract, huh? Weird, I wonder what happens if someone signs it." As Aizawa and Deku would basically go to a jail where some low-life villains were at. As Aizawa would have basically asked permission to bring his son to this jail to test out this ability of his. As they would bring Deku to this jail or prison, as they would have several thugs or several criminals sign the contracts. As sudden as with each and every single one of them, the same thing would happen, as their soul would literally be ripped out of their body, as their bodies would be encased in shadow, and then would basically plummet away into the shadows and darkness. As Deku would then snap his fingers, as they would then walk out to the shadows, but this time without any memories or personality. As he would then say, it appears I can basically make people servants by having them sign contracts. Okay, that's weird. You're dang cool." As Aizawa would basically then think, this person must have been whoever Izuku is reincarnated after, must have been some sort of ruler. With a whole bunch of devoted followers. Either that, or a villain. as he was half right, half wrong. As Aizawa would then say, "Okay, Deku, can you go back into your base form?" As Deku would then say, "Yes, father." As he would then turn back into this form, and Aizawa would then say, "Okay, can you try to create a contract now?" As Deku would then say, sure." As Deku would then begin swirling the blue flames in his hand, but it would not be happening. As he'd then say, "It appears I have to be in that form to make a contract." As he would then say, disappointing, but at the same time cool. As Deku and Aizawa would walk and would basically get over back to their house, as Deku would fall asleep, and would basically fall asleep from exerting too much energy. And from basically taking souls. As the reason why is because basically souls carry a sort of energy boost. Basically, they empower Deku. The more souls he gets, the stronger and stronger he gets, and the more followers and servants he has. The evil are the deeds of a soul, and the basically scale of the deeds of the soul determines the power, and also the powers of the soul when they're alive determines of how much power he gets as well. As Deku would have basically had a major power and would have had a small power increase, as he would basically have fainted from this. As Deku is basically dead asleep, and out of the shadows walks in, Vanessa. As Deku's asleep, Aizawa basically is at his hero work and is basically out patrolling. As Vanessa then walks over to Deku, and she says, "Don't you just love it? The silence and the sweet symphony of peace. You do love it, don't you? Is it Izu?" Yes. Of course you do. Who wouldn't enjoy peace and quiet? And soon there will be nothing but peace and quiet for the both of us. Peace, quiet, or it'll just be me and you alone. In my manner, for the rest of our days, just like how it should have been. It's terribly saddening that you don't remember me, when all I can do is think about you. And soon you will remember me, and when that time comes, you may not ever be able to remember me, but when the time comes and we both leave this nuisance of, I guess, public living, then things will be much better for us. Just me and you and you and me, all alone in my little old manor, with our guards and with my guards and knights protecting us, and just me and you there forever. This time, there will be no leaving, no distractions, no misunderstandings. As she would then smile, as she would then turn into this form and would say, "Oh, I'm just so happy. You just even, oh, I get so anxious just thinking about it. So excited just thinking about all the alone time and fun you will ever need. But for now, see you soon, darling." As she would then retreat back into the shadows and disappear. Deku, of course, would be dead asleep. Now y'all might be wondering, wait, hold up. What exactly is this? And what exactly has happened? Allow me to explain. You see, when there are two reincarnations of basically Deku, there are two basic types of reincarnations. One type of reincarnation, they don't remember a single thing. However, the other type of reincarnation, they remember everything. Deku has the first type, and Vanessa has the second type. Basically, Deku doesn't even remember anything, really. He doesn't even remember being a prince or anything like that. He doesn't even remember his own name, and his old name. However, Vanessa, she remembers everything, and, well, basically, she's gone demonic yandere for Deku. As that's where I'm ending this part off. Hope y'all enjoyed part 1 of What If Deku was the reincarnation of the Snatcher, and I hope y'all will have enjoyed this. Please smash that like button, notifications if I get them, when I get them, and all that other good stuff. So yeah, like, share, comment, subscribe, smash those notifications when I get them, and I'll see y'all at the next video. See you soon, and skadoosh.